Circle. Real estate agents have a reputation for earning lots of money for looking smooth and driving fancy cars. How do they earn those seemingly huge commissions? Today, our property expert, Cashmore, looks at the reality of realty. Good morning and welcome, Catherine.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, look, this is a really controversial subject because everybody hates the real estate sales agent. And the Reader's Digest poll has just come out of this most trusted professions. And you've got the real estate agents, they are always at the bottom. And I looked at it quickly this morning before I came in, and we are just one step above sex workers. And
Satan.
That's right. And then underneath that, though I actually thought that you might, you know, trust your sex worker more, but never mind. But underneath that, you've got telemarketers and everything. So I thought what I'd do today, I'd take a bit of a sympathetic approach to them, just show you what they actually do, that it is a job that's a lot harder than you think it is. But also, you know, is it really worth it? Is it really worth what they do? Which is great, because that takes us straight into this week's What's It Worth? Okay, so we've got 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, 2 car spaces, and this is a really nice home. It's a premium location.
Prestige suburb near beach.
It is. It's near
like
the beach. It is really, actually, it's really. Do you know, I do that all the time. Look at these places and think, oh, I just
Which
love
state
to live
is it,
there.
may I ask?
Oh, well, you may. Shall I tell her which state it's in? Okay, it's in Perth.
Okay. That makes a difference.
It does make a difference, it does, because even though Perth's under a bit of a boom at the moment, the prices are slightly more reasonable than you'll find in Sydney and Melbourne, so it does make a bit of a difference.
It's a beautiful room.
It is, it's a really nice house, it's got good natural light, it's open plan.
Newish?
It's, yeah, it is, it wouldn't be that old at all, it's not brand new, as you can see there, but it's not too old either.
Okay.
Nicely
A beach can be a long way from the city, though,
proximity, yes, CBD.
That's true.
Prestige suburb of Perth.
That's right.
I see. Close to the beach, 4 bedrooms. I'm saying 1.175.
Yeah, I was going in that direction, actually. I was going in around the 1718.
Yeah.
Okay, I will go with $1.3 million because it looks like Cottesloe around there.
Oh,
yeah.
$1 million houses.
Oh, easily.
Yeah, easy.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. WA.
Can I go
now?
900,000?
You can go 900,000. Gosh, that's low for you. It's a bit of a break from the norm. The price that it sold for was 1.713.
Whoa.
There you go, buddy.
Wow.
Which is, and you're absolutely right. Let's take a look where it is, because it is Cottesloe in Perth, which is a really beautiful suburb. It's about 15 minutes west of Perth. And just a beautiful area to go. So that's why. And, you know, if you were going to look in Melbourne or Sydney, you'd probably pay more if you were going to be close to the sea. So that's not a bad price as it is. But I also thought we'd have a look at what the commission would be for that. Now, in Perth, real estate agents charge around 2.5% commission. So I think that we did our figures on what they get for 2.5, and there you go, 42,800.
Wow.
That is extortionate when you think about it. What on earth? Where is that money going? Where is the value of that money going? Because nobody really, I mean, there are ways you can sell your house on your own. We've discussed it before, and you can do it. But for people that are really time poor and they don't want to do it and they want to use an agent, handing over that amount of money is a really large figure to hand over.
Does that 42,000 end up in that real estate agent's pocket, though?
Well, no, it doesn't, and that's the first important point to make. Everybody thinks, you know, you see the agent pull up, they pull up in these fancy cars, they've got the fancy suit on, they've got the smile, you know, they're given this impression that they're really wealthy. They're not. Most of the average wage for a real estate agent is only around 60 or 70,000 a year. So they're certainly not getting all that money. Out of that money that's going out there from the vendor's pocket, the real estate agent is only going to be getting around 16% of that amount. So for every house they sell, they're only going to be getting 1 or 2 grand out of the actual sale of the house that goes into them. But this is the catch. When you start working as a real estate agent, you get what's called a retainer. Now, I don't know whether you've ever worked for a retainer before, but it starts out, last time I checked, around $500 a week. Now, that retainer is essentially no more than a loan. Out of that retainer, you've got to get your fancy car, your suit, because you've got to give this impression that you're successful, that you're earning a lot. And then when you get that commission, which you're not going to get, that £2,000 out of whatever money is being taken from the house, you're not going to get it until the house actually settles. When you get that commission, the agency is going to take out everything that they've paid you so far, and then you'll get whatever the remainder is. So when you start, you are always behind the ball. And not only that, but the hours of a real estate agent are pretty intense, because first of all, there's a whiteboard at the end of every real estate agency's office, and on that whiteboard, this is the most dreaded thing, you've got the name of every sales agent that works in the office on the whiteboard, and underneath you've got what they have listed and sold for the month. Now, if you're dropping behind, the director's going to be looking at you and thinking to himself, are you paying for your desk? Because the whole concept works on commission. You need to be earning the company money, and if you're not, you can get as little as 2 weeks' notice to get out.
And can we talk about your work hours as well?
Yeah.
Don't they go all crazy?
The work hours are crazy. You know, you see the advertisements, and I've got a fact sheet on this, but you see the advertisements, they say earn $100,000 a year, you enjoy working with people, you know, the rewards, work in a Bayside suburb and enjoy going to the beach on your lunch times and everything. It's nowhere near like that. They should start off, first of all, give up your weekends for the rest of the year, because that's exactly what you're going to be doing. But it's not just your weekends, it's your evenings, because first of all, everyone's going to want to go through a house outside of hours. And yeah, a lot of them will get a day off in the week, but no one else knows it's your day off. You know, most people are still going to call you because you've slapped your mobile number over every advert, and they will call you. There'll be those that will call you.
You actually have to answer.
Well, you do, because if you don't answer, then you miss out on the buyer. You need to sell because you need to get your name on the whiteboard with a few listings and a few sales.
So this is why all real estate agents stink of desperation.
That was just yeah, it's exactly right. It's like,
you poor darling.
Doing that hard sell sort of aspect. It's true, they must go through 3 sets of suits with that nervous anxiety.
Sweat patches.
But they don't only go through that because of that, but the 40-degree heat, and they're still having to stand there in the suit with the smile, trying to convince the buyer that the train running behind the house that makes the house rattle as it runs past isn't really a problem, and it won't be detrimental to the long-term value of the house. You know? And you want to buy it anyway, and what they might move it eventually and put a park there.
Can I ask you a dumb question? Why do they all drive the fancy cars?
It's almost become like a tradition now that if you don't drive a fancy car, then the vendor that you're going to see along with the other 2 agents, you know, agencies that they've called in as well, they'll look like, you know, you won't look like you're successful because you'll look like you don't earn enough money or you don't earn enough commission.
But therein lies the rub, because that gives off this sort of PR element to which, you know, regular civilians look at and go, you know, the big W was like, you know what I'm saying? And there's a man who's earning much more than he should be, because it's all a matter of perception.
And I think that is the real perception and the way that it works. And not only that, but to get the listing, you've got to sell hope. So if you've got a vendor, like with the house that we saw, that thinks that the house is worth 2 million and you know it's only going to get 1.7, you'll sell them hope that perhaps they might. You might disagree, but look, you know, if it's there, we'll get it for you. But throughout the campaign, you're going to do what's known in the business, I'm sorry, but it's known in the business as vendor education. Because as long as you get them to sign that you're actually going to get the gig, and then you're going to do everything you can to get the vendor to meet the market. You're going to try and get that level, because if you don't, you're not going to get paid a cent for all the opens, the phone calls, the auction.
So if they don't sell, you don't get a cut.
If they don't sell, they don't get paid.
I thought with the Real Estate Agents Alliance. You're like a magician.
I
give it away.
You know, I think that there should be, first of all, a bit of sympathy for the little agent that stood on the doorway, taking the names and numbers, most of which are wrong. You know?
I think just to put the public's mind at ease, we're going to need a lot more of you out there sort of telling the true story. But would you please thank Catherine Cashmore? There's more information, and Catherine's fact sheets are on the website. And now here's Nikki.